You crash one golf cart in 2003 and then you can't go back. So I think the biggest lesson my mom is like, fast cash is not real cash.
What's up, rich friends? Welcome to another episode of Networth and Chill. I'm your host, Vivian Tu, aka your rich BFF and your favorite Wall Street girly. And for those of you who are new here, a few years ago, I moved down to Florida. Yes, I am officially a Miami gal now. And one of the most culture shocking things I experienced when I moved was just how many people were speaking Spanish around me. And frankly, I shouldn't be surprised. Latinos account for nearly 20% of all Americans. And on top of that, they account for 7% of all millionaires in the US. That said, in 2021, the median wealth of a Latino household was $48,720, which is only about 20% of non-Hispanic white households' median wealth of $250,400. Furthermore, this reality is often made really worse by the way popular media depicts Latino communities as foreign criminals here to steal our jobs and only worthy of back-breaking manual labor. On today's episode, we are chatting with an incredible Latina entertainer and entrepreneur, also the funniest person I know, because despite unfavorable news headlines, the Latino community is building serious wealth. Today's guest is a host on Amazon Prime's Influenced, which, by the way, I did make a cameo. She's a content creator, a red carpet host. Everyone, please welcome Tefi Pessoa.
Hola.
I knew you were going to just start off funny.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo están? No, I love that. I'm super happy you brought up speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Because growing up in Miami, I have 305 tattooed on my neck and my mom loves that. Loves. But for the first time, last year, I went to Miami, and for the first time in my life, I was in a restaurant where no one spoke Spanish. I actually started ordering in Spanish, and not everyone has to speak Spanish. I went to school with I think 2 people that didn't speak Spanish. So not everybody has to speak Spanish.
Those 2 didn't need it.
No, but also my brother and my sister understand, but they don't speak Spanish because I went to my grandmother babysat me, and I chose language. Like you can choose a language school in Miami where you take math and science and handwriting. In Spanish.
Nice.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But it was the first time ever that I started ordering in Spanish, and the person was like, "I'm sorry, no one here speaks Spanish." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So Miami after 2020 has evolved past what you probably know Miami better than I do at this point. You know,
I don't think that's true.
Well,
that's born and bred. That's like in your blood.
Yes, there are definitely some things. I mean, there are some places that don't exist anymore, like the mom and pop places of like Cuban restaurants. And I mean, after every ballet recital, I'd go to Versailles or La Carrera. There's La Carreta. La Carrera is a racetrack. But anyway, so I think Miami has evolved and this influx of like New Yorkers or people from all over the place have kind of changed the economy of Miami too, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned your 305 tattoo that your mom definitely loves.
Adores.
I want to play a fun little game before we get into it. I just want to ease you into the money conversation. You have some incredible tattoos. It's one of the first things you see when you go check out your social media. How much money do you think you spent in total on all of your tattoos?
So not that much because—
Really?
Well, my ex, he went to college with his tattoo artist.
Okay.
So then when I started, I had some tattoos. Like I think I had like 4 tattoos when I first started dating that person. And then meeting his tattoo artist friend, I think he would charge me $100 a tattoo. And I think now I have like 25 tattoos.
Wow.
What the fuck, Tefi? But yeah, like I think—
I mean, I too have a $100 tattoo, but I got it when I was like 21, graduating college. It was very sketchy. I asked the man, I was like, what are the aftercare instructions? He goes, don't worry. If anything bad happens, just text me.
Oh my God.
And so I texted him when something bad was clearly happening, and he ghosted me.
No. I think now obviously I met this person. His name is John Starr. He just moved back to Ohio to be with his nieces and nephews because he wants to be part of their life more.
Oh, that's nice.
And he married a Cuban girl from Miami by coincidence.
And then dragged her and kidnapped her back to Ohio?
And she is so fucking cool. I don't know. She's like a world famous illustrator. Like when she goes to Comic-Con, people line up around the corner for her. And he's also just like so fucking sick. And they're the kindest people ever. But as I started to like become more and more successful in my craft, he would be like, okay, $100. I'd be like, John, charge me more.
Yeah.
And he's like, $100, but then next time we'll do like $300 or something.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, John, charge me $300 today.
Yeah.
So I'd give him my phone and I'd be like, Venmo yourself what this tattoo costs. And he's like, I'm like, please don't put in $10,000. So that would really hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And then he would put in like 200 or something. But I should, if this was a person that I had like met in the tattoo industry, like let's say like I went to like Bang Bang or something.
Yeah.
And I go to Gnostic Tattoo that's in Bushwick. It's the oldest tattoo shop in Brooklyn. I think I made that up. Let's just go with it. Or the oldest tattoo shop in Bushwick. Whatever. Anyway. I think it's the only tattoo shop in Bushwick. But then, whatever. It's next to the Popeyes on Metropolitan.
Yeah.
And then if it was somebody that I had met like organically, like through the tattoo industry, I'm sure that I would have spent like tens of thousands of dollars alone. But because it's John, I have a good deal. Now, since he moved to Ohio, I'm seeing this girl named Tessa. Tessa taught John how to tattoo. And she's done.
Oh, nice.
She has a lot of my tattoos are Florida based. And I don't even know why. Like I'm not even like people looking at my tattoos, but
hardly home, but always repping.
Period. They're like, I'm a hometown hero, a hood hero, if you will. But like I have a little boxer here. She did this little boxer kit, and I have a huge bird, like an Everglades bird, on my back, and she did it in 2 hours. Insane. Some of the best tattoos ever. And then I have a ballerina riding a gator on my forearm. That's a forearm. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And
that's you.
That took
That's
30 minutes.
you.
That's literally me. Yeah, but I think the biggest thing with tattoos is that I have never felt not elegant in them. Like when I put on a gown or something, I don't, like when you look at me, do you see them? Like I don't even see them. Like my aunt the other day was like, you have tattoos. Like
I feel like the way you present yourself is very elegant, and whatever art you want to put on your body just adds to that.
Well, I think it's crazy because my mom says that having kids keeps you like modern.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I remember in like 1997, have I told you this about the tattoo stuff? So my brother is tattooed from his chin to his big toe. Like
full.
And his girlfriend, she's Filipino and probably like the nicest person I've ever met. And I look at her, I'm like, stand up to him. But then I saw them interact, and she like absolutely holds her own. But she's so kind that you like worry that like, should I hold your hand across the street? You're so kind. And she's a tattoo artist. So she's like,
she's doing it.
She's all the time. And she's really, really good. But with my brother, when my brother started getting tattoos, I was still hiding a couple from my mom. And my mom was like gutted because I remember in like 1997, she was going to hire this new assistant, and she had like a Chinese symbol, this like Cuban girl on her foot. And she was like, I can't hire her.
Why? Because she has a tattoo.
She has a visible tattoo because she could wear ballerina flats. And now I look at my mom and I'm like, if somebody told me, or my brother, my sister has none because she's an angel. Yeah. But she's such
a favorite.
Literally. But I was like, if somebody came up to you and was like, I can't hire your daughter because of her tattoos, or your son, you'd be like, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I think the idea, and I am like, I think I am like the first like millionaire in my family. And
say it with your chest.
Ew.
First millionaire in your family, bitch.
I'm definitely the first one of her children to have like $1,000 in their savings account. Let's go. Like that's like for sure. But I think the idea of what a millionaire was, like when you were talking about like a
pinstripe suit
or
briefcase.
My mom, I think her dream in life is for me to dress like a secretary on Mad Men. Like that's her dream in life.
Wait, can I ask you about that? Like growing up in Miami, obviously it's a very expensive city. Mm-hmm. Like
it used to not be.
Right, fair.
It used to $900 for a 2-bedroom apartment when I was growing up.
When you grew up, like your mom was a money manager. Like did you feel like you guys had a lot of money, a little bit of money? Like was it tough?
So I think this is the thing. I am I'm not big on details, right? So we had a house in Coral Gables.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of my mom because this is the thing. My mom and my dad are so different. I don't have a relationship with my dad anymore, but
Yeah.
I remember he was a big spender. If there was a new Audi, he had to have
Yeah.
it. Do you remember like when Dell computers were huge?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I was like, you don't understand. Justin Long is the Mac. We need to get the Mac, like those computer commercials. But I remember like every time Dell came out with a new one, I remember the day that Gwen Stefani came out with What You Waiting For, he had just gotten a new computer and I could watch YouTube HD. So she came out with her music video and I was like, oh my God. Like he had 2 BMWs, a Ducati, and he was very much about you got to spend it to make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where my mom, it was very much like turtle versus hare. She was turtle.
Yeah.
So we rented in Coral Gables. Like Coral Gables is a very affluent community.
Yeah.
There's an arc like that says it's in all coral and it says welcome to Coral Gables. I could see that from my house. Like we were right there at the border so I could go to that school.
Yeah.
So we were never wanting, but it's because my mom was so anticipatory of costs. Like she
was frugal.
She was, but I don't even want to say frugal. She was strategic. And I look back and I'm like, what do you mean I can't get the sidekick? Like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? But like, but I was never wanting, you know what I mean? Like we had a Honda Odyssey and I remember my mom, I don't know anybody else's parents that did this. She got a car broker that came to the house and broke down every cost of every vehicle and what it would cost, like all that stuff. Like I had never heard of that ever in my life. So she's like, I got a Honda Odyssey because the BMW SUV, whatever, doesn't have enough space. And I'm gonna be taking Esteban's friends to soccer practice. Like she was so strategic in it. And we also had my grandparents my grandmother was a homemaker, aka she was on my ass constantly, bitch. Constantly, that she'd be like, that elliptical hasn't been used in a while, like in my house. Like I had one in the garage. And then my grandfather managed like strip malls.
Yeah.
But my grandfather's also really strategic. In Miami, I didn't know that you paid less taxes, property tax, if you had farm animals on the land. So my grandfather would wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to go to his strip mall that sold golf. We were a golf family that sold golf stuff.
Yeah.
Sports stuff.
Do you golf now?
Honey.
No. Okay. Good chat.
You crashed one golf cart in 2003 and then you can't go back.
She's banned, y'all.
One. You get caught fucking one time on the golf course. One time. No, it's I can't. I wish I could. But I'm gonna start after my grandparents passed, my mom wants to get back into it. So I'm gonna start taking lessons with her.
Good.
But I remember my grandfather used to wake up in the morning because he had to go feed those cows. So like they were always, I think there's this like stigma too about like immigrants coming to this country and they don't know what they're doing. Babe, my parents were on their shit. And I think that's a big reason my parents, like my mom fell out of love essentially, or it didn't work out with my dad, is because my dad, I think I'm a lot like my dad when I talk about spending. I do love to spend, but like, but I have the means. But I think he was also somebody that was like very impulsive and very, there is this Latin thing, obsessed with the American dream. Yeah. Like the American dream is essentially, I mean, I hate to say the T word, but essentially Donald Trump was kind of the icon, or who else? Like who else was Henry Ford? Too, like this person
like
that like
the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts,
the Rockefellers.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like these are American families that come from like a legacy of like real estate investment, but also like
owning
the quick
stuff.
And there's this idea of this ladder where I think there's a lot of people that came here in the 80s and there was so much excess and so much money and like the stocks and everything, economy was blowing up. And I hear the cocaine was insane. Rumors. I'm half Colombian. Rumors. But like, I think they went two routes where my mom grew up in a house of stability and investment. And my dad came here and he tried to hit the ground running and it blew up in his face, essentially.
I mean, I feel like that's like two like very specific courses of Latin culture of like familial, like taking care of everybody. And that's like so feminine. And then the machismo side of being like, everybody got to know I got it.
Yeah. Definitely. I
Yeah.
think, and I understand both. Like sometimes it's like when we go to these fashion things.
Yes.
And they're like, the brand won't pay for you this time. Like basically what happens sometimes, the camera, to the influencers of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So basically sometimes let's say you get invited to like a Gucci event and you will hear that they do pay for other influencers to have their hair and makeup done and give them like an outfit, you know? But the first time you're invited as you build this relationship, it's on you. So your team will tell you this is an investment, you know? Like you have to, like, and you maybe can write it off or something.
You're spending
$10,000.
Yeah, you're spending $500 on makeup, styling's a couple thou. Then you got to transport yourself to said event. Maybe there's a flight involved and a hotel, and suddenly it's thousands of dollars.
Yeah, thousands. I think with one brand, I spent $9,000 on one event, and then they didn't want to continue that relationship because they fucking suck. And then whatever, I was like, "Are you serious?" And then I think after that, I had 2 more parties to go to, and those 2 continue those relationships. So like 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's like a good investment, right?
In your career,
Yes.
especially.
Yes.
And I want to talk a little bit about the investing piece, your mom, money manager.
Yeah.
What do you think is like the best piece of money advice your mom ever gave you? MJ, come through.
I think the best piece of money advice my mom ever gave me was it's kind of like, the reason she does what she does is because she has good instincts, and she also is able to, she kind of has to be a fortune teller and a gambler kind of.
Yeah.
She's not day trading. I think that's a big thing too. My mom says do not day trade.
Of course. That is good advice.
Some of my friends took courses in 2020 and my mom flew in. Actually, it's funny because one of my best friends, her wife is a lot younger than us. And I brought my mom to the party. And my friend goes up to me and she goes, somebody went up to me and said, who's this older woman at the party? And I said, Tefi. And I did, because I didn't know your mom was here. So they said that I was the older woman. I was like, what the fuck?
My feelings would be so hurt.
So I'm like, I'm literally 7 years older than her. Like, whatever. Anyway. And my mom came to visit and she sat them down. She was like, you are wasting your time. Like this is, you know? So I think the biggest lesson my mom is like, fast cash is not real cash.
Yeah.
I remember, when was the GameStop?
Oh, yeah. Like mid-pandemic when people were like, everybody, it's free money.
Yeah, she called me. She called me and she was like, do not fuck around with this. Like you're just starting to make money.
Yeah.
Before I started content creation, I always made like $20,000, $22,000 a year.
I have here, you were making $21,000 a year as a receptionist, but then you kind of had like a low, high moment of becoming, a host at a production company making $200,000 a year. But then COVID hits.
Yeah.
How do you ride the wave of $21,000 a year to $200,000 to nothing and then to create a career?
Every week on Thursdays, I go to nyc.gov and I'd ask Joe Biden for my $400 and the site would crash and I'd be like, just go on Safari, do it again. Like I think, so as a receptionist, I was also pretty used to living within those means. And my mom would not help me. Like if I asked her for like $10 so I could get like Barilla pasta.
Yeah.
Like I really hustled my ass off till I was 29. And then when they gave me that contract, I went to that cold audition and I got this part or whatever. And they sent me the contract for $200,000 a year. I signed it because I thought they made a mistake. And I said, you can't change it now.
Yeah.
Like I thought there was a big mistake.
Yeah.
And then they paid for my health insurance. Then when that ended, I guess in my mind, a confidence thing happened where there was no plan B. Like that, I'm going to do that. Like once you meet, it's like what you do right now. Like once you figure out like what you can do and what you want to do, I call it when scissors meet wrapping paper and that glide.
And the glides. Oh, feels so good.
I know. I wish I had some right now. give mama what she wants. No, but I think when you figure out what you want to do and it's profitable, like that moment becomes profitable. There's no going back. So that moment where I had to go back down to like $400 or whatever.
Yeah.
it was like it's so temporary in my mind, and I feel delusional, or I felt delusional talking about it, but I had to lean into delusion in order to continue making content. I was making like 40 videos a day.
Really?
What the fuck, Tefi? Have a little pride. Yeah, but I think honestly, between my ex, like I didn't want to interrupt him because he was paying for Tinder Gold and he was so consistently and ferociously cheating on me that he was so focused that I was kind of like left alone with
Married
my
to the
phone.
game, I guess.
I know, like literally, I'm like, he's sending so many emails. Like he must be working so hard, and it was just, But also, it's not just Tinder. It was like Hinge and stuff. So. Respect, multitasking king, but no, we forgive, we forget.
No, we don't.
We medicate, and I think during that time, you still weren't getting paid for content, so that was really just like prayer, like throwing a Hail Mary, throwing a Hail Mary, and like
this
just
is like
hoping.
when the TikTok Creator Fund was paying you like 47 cents for 8 billion views.
1,000%. And I'm going to say something else too. Like I had been looking for that validation in my life for so long. Outside my relationship wasn't validating anymore. My family, I couldn't see them because I was scared I would kill them.
Yeah.
Like I was looking for a community so bad. And I had realized at that time too, like some of my friendships were not going to work out either. And I'd had them for like decades.
Yeah.
And the community that TikTok gave me was worth like millions and millions of dollars. I would have probably continued doing that for free, And then when I finally got a manager, I started getting more deals and stuff. And I remember the first content deal I ever did was $250. And I was like, I can't believe they're going to give me $250 for pictures. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the second
And not even
deal,
of your feet.
No, not even my... Girl, my feet are so I was a ballerina. I'd have to pay you to look at my fucking feet. Like, they are so busted. I'm a 10 wide. When I was born, my mom said they looked like little trapezoids.
No.
She was like, go get the W on the baby shoes. But I think my second check, I'll never forget. So I remember when I was younger, I got a tax return and they made a mistake and it was $8,000 and I put it in my account. And even though I knew I was going to have to return it, I wanted to see it on my app, on my Bank of America app, and be like, oh my God, this is I have $8,000 in my account.
That means something.
It means something. And then they took it away and I had $8 and I said, here we go. Tale as old as time, back to normal. And then the second deal I got was $28,000.
Wait. So you went from 250 to 28 Gs.
To 28 Gs, yeah. And I think during that time too, I was getting about 1,000 followers a day. Yeah. So my second deal was probably like the next month where I had made a substantial amount of followers at that time. I remember one day I made 100,000 followers in one day. I don't know what it was. But obviously, I think it was like a series, whatever, doesn't matter. But as your follower engagement stuff,
goes up.
Exactly.
You can
so
charge
does
more.
your rate. And with $28,000, I was like, guys, I can quit. Like, this will last me a lifetime. Because like when you're working with pennies your whole life, $28,000, I could have bought, in my mind, I'm like, I could buy a house.
Did you buy anything with that first check? Or like, did you treat yourself?
I took me and my ex to like a big dinner. Or like, I think I ordered, but baby girl was also eating too. I gained 30 fucking pounds in the pandemic.
She was eating good.
I was like, I gotta stop washing these jeans. No, but that was like, it was like a big dinner. And then I think I went on a secondhand shop and I got a Gucci purse for like $200. And it was like tarnished beyond belief. Like, she lived a very long life. But I think
well-loved.
As time went on, I let go of my like money anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Where do you think that came from?
I think, I mean, I had parents who, like my grandparents and my mom, who like adamantly saved. And like, when you go to public school, you are around people who come from all different kinds of backgrounds, like whether they are recent refugees, starting a business. Like, I know people who were dead fucking broke, and then Hurricane Andrew hit and they had a construction business. And now they're one of the biggest families in Miami, So like, I think the anxiety of, okay, if the world collapses on me, like, I need at least $28,000, like at least, or maybe it was 23. It was around there. But I remember thinking, this is more than I make in a fucking year.
Yeah.
Or I used to, whatever.
Yeah.
And then
But did you actually set any money aside for taxes?
I have a sad story.
Oh,
But, like,
wow.
So
I want to hear the story now because
didn't-
that silence was deafening.
I didn't pay my taxes for 2 years.
What do you mean?
I didn't pay my taxes for 2 years. Sometimes time goes by really fast. And then I got, but I also wasn't being represented well.
Yeah.
And I wasn't being taken care of well.
Yeah.
So then finally, when I signed with like UTA, they were like, we're going to set you up with a lawyer and a business manager. And I work with Jared Kroll. And Jared Kroll is the best thing that's ever happened to me. One thing I've noticed though is I'm very lax. Like if you tell me that you're taking care of it, like I absolutely believe you. And I've realized
We literally could not be more different in that way.
I'm very hands off.
I am constantly clenched.
No, he sends me my balance and stuff. I don't even open it. I know because, well, it's also probably my avoidance stuff.
Yeah.
But I also trust him so much. He sat me down. He was like, okay, 1, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
2, we're going to spend a lot of money on taxes, but most people who don't pay their taxes are rich.
Yeah.
And I was like,
cool.
It's my favorite word. Like, so he saved me so much money. He's been on the phone with my mom to explain it to my mom because I am so like, what does this mean? Whatever. And my mom is like, okay, explain it to me. I'll explain it to you. Like he is so patient with me. And he's explained to me like retirement and 401k and insurance and like all this different stuff that I had and stocks and investments and all that stuff. And he's been so wonderful about it. And he tolerates my mom calling him, talking to him. My mom's
That
very
is a
involved.
gift, by the way, to have your mom call him. That's not tolerate. That's a gift.
She's very, very involved. And then I also have an account with my mom.
Yeah.
So
I love
wonderful.
that, though. I love that
she's at Raymond James.
Shout out Raymond James, I
Shout out
guess.
Raymond James, please.
When you started making money versus when you had very little, how did your budgeting change? Like, did you move into a nicer apartment? Did you change what you were eating, living? Anything like
I became responsible for like everything, essentially.
Yeah.
Like I was, in the beginning when I started making money, I was the one then who started, like paying rent and like utilities and all that stuff. So that's one thing that really changed where instead of being like, I can only pay a third or a half or like, I'm going to be late this month. It was like all on me. And I really—
And at this time, you're still living with your ex.
Yeah. Yeah. And we did get to get into a bigger apartment in the same building, like we did get to do that. And it was a joy. Like I think there's a saying, my ex-boss used to tell me, whatever you are when you're broke, you become more of when you're wealthy. So if you're a generous person when you're broke, you become exponentially more generous when you're wealthy. And the other side too, if you're like a dick, So I think I found the joy in taking care of people through making money. And also I became really involved in like I would go on like change.com and just pay for someone's whole thing. Like I'd just be like, just do it. And I found a lot of joy in that.
Yeah.
So
Do you think that's the best thing you've ever bought?
The best thing? Yeah, probably. I mean, there are so many. I just got like a painting, a print of someone's olive trees. Like I helped somebody with their GoFundMe and their family's Palestinian and her father passed away. And she sent me a print of a picture of an olive tree on her farm in Palestine. And I thought that was so
beautiful.
Like, thank you so like generational. Like that's a tree that like her great grandfather took care of. And I think like those are the things that I really, really love. And money doesn't make you happy, but it does make things a hell of a lot fucking easier.
Yeah.
And it does put you in a position where there's great responsibility with that too. And I take that very seriously. Like if a hurricane happens or something, I'm in there, and because I'm able to, so I think that's like the best thing that you can invest in is the people around you, and hopefully one day when they become wealthy, hopefully they think of like me,
No, but like bringing up your community as you're going, it's not just about you getting rich and then closing the door behind you. It's like bringing up the community.
Like inspiring people to help the people around them for sure. Yeah. That's the best. Like the purse gets old,
Yeah.
There's not a vintage purse, designer purse that I don't own. Like I love like going into, don't get me wrong, I love walking into like a Marni or something and buying whatever, but that shit gets old, you know?
And nothing ever feels as good as your first bag.
Ugh.
I've been chasing that high since forever.
I think my first bag was a YSL like Python bag. I didn't know it was Python until after I was like, that explains that price.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And it's still definitely your favorite.
1,000%.
I'm sure.
1,000%.
I want to take a quick step back because you genuinely are so charismatic. You are so funny. That's not something that you can teach in school. And you've talked really openly about the fact that you went to college and ended up dropping out
5 times.
5 times. Like, talk me through that, because normally in our society, we tell all these kids, if you want to be successful, you need to go to college, you need to get a degree. Clearly that hasn't been the case for you, but were you scared when you dropped out?
Out of my mind. My mom is in wealth management. She got her master's at the new school. Like, my grandfather got his master's at Cornell. Took my family over to Ithaca in 1964. And then they went back to Medellin, and he was like, he ran like the biggest textile company in Colombia. Like, my aunt went to like the best liberal arts school in the country in like Maine. Like, I come from a very educated family. And then my grandfather went to boarding school, and he's never had less than an A. You know what I mean? But I also went to I come from a family where my mom was like, C's get degrees, just pass. I don't need you to get like
Really? Was that her attitude?
Yeah, she's like, if you got a D in math, but you got a 1 in effort, like, who am I? Like, poor baby. But like, who am I to like, like, obviously you're trying really hard.
I'm kind of surprised by that, just given her career trajectory and what you're telling me about your grandfather. Like, there weren't these like crazy expectations?
No, I think my grandfather, we kind of kept him in the dark about like our grades and stuff. But like, my mom was very much aware of, you can go to community college and then go to Yale. You know what I mean? Like, you can go to community college and go to UM or something. So she was just like, just pass. She also didn't place that much emphasis on high school once her friends who had like older kids started to like burn themselves out. I know some cousins of mine that did that too. Like, just was. And I was graduation speaker. I had like a 3.9 GPA by the time I graduated high school. So I got into college, and I was burnt the fuck out. And also, I was going through a breakup with a boyfriend that I had for a very, very long time. And so I discovered alcohol. So I was partying, and I'm in Miami, okay?
Oh, where the partying is good.
I should have paid rent at Live. Like, I should have, like, I was on tabletops. I was getting kicked out of clubs. I was getting kicked out of bars. Like, I was getting kicked, like, all this, like, I was having the time of my absolute fucking life. I thought it was Effie and Skins. Like, I was like, living. And then,
you're artist in residence at Live.
That's exactly it. Like, in Planet Hollywood, when they have the outfits, like, they're gonna have one of my club outfits. So then I think going to school in college, like going to college, I went to a bunch of different colleges, universities, whatever. I realized I could not handle that freedom. Like, them telling me, like, if you don't come to class, we won't call your mom. I was like, you're joking. And having a car, my Honda Civic, that Steve, our car broker, said was best for us. Yes. Like, I could not handle that kind of freedom. So I needed regimen, and I needed like stability and security. And college is like, you're just on your own. I don't understand how 18-year-old, and that was in my hometown. If I'd gone to like FSU or something, or like New York, I would be homeless in 3 days. Like, I don't know how kids do it at 18 years old. That's probably where like pressure and shit comes from. Like, I have to pass.
I never got worse grades than I did first semester of college. Like, because I was just drunk all the time.
The 24-hour cafeteria card?
Yeah. Oh.
You think I'm leaving?
Yeah.
Like, are you joking?
Tater tots on rotation, please.
We had, one of my schools had froyo on tap.
Oh, it's not good.
Get out of town. So I think that was the biggest thing in my life, is I was so used to being micromanaged and smothered by my family. And just about like, good girls do this, bad girls say this, bad girls get tattooed. Like, so like my mom is besides herself that I don't own a cardigan to this day. Besides herself. She comes over and she's like, no cardigans? I'm like, well, I'm not 60 years old. Or Princess Diana. Like, Princess Diana can do whatever the fuck she wants. She could wrap it around her head and walk around and it would be like chic. But like, her, like, for me, she wanted me to be this like Hispanic nice girl. She wanted me to be like the girl that goes to like private school or whatever. And I was very much, I have a woman stabbing herself in the head on my shoulder.
Right.
like I'm not going to be that.
That's why she put you in ballet.
Yes. And no girl
didn't
should
work.
see themselves that much in leggings. No, I'd be like, the tattoo should go here.
Yeah.
This should go, like, no, I was very, very rebellious, but also very aware that as long as I'm like, my family wanted me to be a good person. I think I'm a good person, but just not by their like physical standards when I was younger. Now they don't give a shit. They thought I was never going to get a job and they were super scared I'd never get like health insurance. Thank you, Oscar. But I think now looking at me, what a Hispanic or Latin girl looks like to them is different. Like it's, you know,
what she can look like.
I can, because I think being like, I don't need to get married. Like, I don't need to have children. Like, I don't need to. Do I want to? I don't know. But like, I don't need to like work at, I don't need to be a doctor. I don't need to be a lawyer for me to be successful. And I think about like my grandparents, and they're no longer physically here. And one time I got this like reading from this psychic, and she said, there's an older man here and he is in a golf cart. Let's go. And I was like, oh, that's for sure my grandfather. And she's like, well, he's not letting me talk. And I'm like, that's where I get it from. Like, he's for sure my grandfather. And she said, he doesn't understand what you do, but he's so proud of you. And I was like, it is beyond like their wildest dreams. If I could just put up my cell phone and like, and talk and like make money. You know what I mean? Like that is beyond.
That is the American dream.
That is the American dream. Yes.
You've accomplished it.
Yes. But I do feel like with money and stuff, I do have to be, my mom was like, you have to be more hands-on with your money, because then you'll have people who are taking care of your money think that that's okay, that they can just make decisions for you. Yeah. And that's been tough. Like everything else, like being myself, making money, getting tattoos, and picking the worst men, that's always come easy to me. Easy. I tell people, don't be flattered if I like you. I have the worst taste ever. But talking about dating even, I was talking to one of my friends that I don't think I've had real feelings for someone since 2017. Like
years.
Years. Well, this person and I, we broke up in 2021, and I don't think I've like felt like invested in someone or like really attached to someone since then, or like really romantic feelings for someone like since then, for real, in like a real way. And it's not because I haven't met like okay people or whatever, like I've only been dating freaks. It's because that jump, when you start taking care of your money and yourself, your standards change. Mm-hmm. So when I first met, like when I first started dating after that breakup, people would be like, my credit score is 530.
And you'd be like,
I can't.
I don't want to do that.
I can't. Like, or like, in my mind at 31, I'm like, so I'm gonna be the one that's credit goes towards like a house or something, or like, or God forbid, a boat or whatever. Yeah. Like, or someone one time on a date I had to explain like a car note or a mortgage. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they were like, they didn't understand The Big Short. I'm like, lucky for you, I was 18 years old living at home with MJ. Yeah. So I heard it all the time, you know? So I think your standards change so much as you get older, but also as you acquire some wealth, the way people take care of themselves and their future and their finances says a lot about them. Like Oprah once said, the way that you treat your wallet is the way you treat your finances. I'll never forget that. She's like, if you have a bunch of crumpled bills and it's all over the place, like you don't really take your finances
seriously. Don't tell me that, because I got a bunch of crumpled stuff in my purse right now.
Well, Oprah said it in 2004. Maybe she has changed her mind since then. Because people don't even have wallets. Messy. Well, I have an Apple wallet and that shit is always nice and clean.
Bing, bing.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think that's something that I was talking about with my friend that was so important, that I wish I could tell 27-year-old me. Like, as you're dating, ask them, and it's awkward, but ask them about their credit, ask them about their student loans, you know?
This is the best advice. And I'm curious, like, what would be kind of like your financial deal breakers now? If you are dating right now, like, give me a list of 5 things that you're looking for in a partner.
Financially.
Yeah.
Financially, I need someone who reads the news. That is financial.
That is financial.
You got to read the news. You got to check what's going on in the world.
And you got to know how those headlines are going to impact you.
1,000%.
Because I think you and I have some similar views on things. And
when I saw the stocks rising on that night, I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. And I also think it's really frustrating when so many of us you and me in particular vote a certain way against our best financial interests.
I try to say that to people. Like, you don't think I want to...
You're like, you think at the amount of money I'm making, I don't want things to go a certain way. But
Yeah.
I think it's also very hard to be a one-issue voter right now.
What good is money if your neighbor can't thrive?
Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like, I think people who are one-issue voters, like, you have to go out in the world. Like, you should go volunteer at a shelter.
Yeah.
Go volunteer at a youth shelter. Go volunteer at a gay shelter.
Yeah.
Go to a soup kitchen. Go volunteer at a library. Look at the people around you. Look at the people who come and use those computers. Like, the privilege of being a one-issue voter sometimes for me is like, come on, you know? Like, and I think, what?
I was going to say, so you said has to read the news.
Has to read the news.
They have to
vote.
They have to vote.
Vote.
That's a financial issue.
Yes.
But also it sounds like you want someone who's kind and generous and thoughtful with their money.
I was going to say, one thing is I would love to be with someone, and I have kind of in the past. I think like, okay, one ex of mine, my most recent one was like, one social cause that you feel really strongly about, I think is admirable, where you spend time, you spend money, and that is an investment of like yourself, your generosity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And someone that is active in their communities. I think that's really, really important. Because you got to know where your tax money is going to.
That's right.
There are sometimes I go to dinner parties and stuff, and people are like, well, like, this mayor didn't do anything with crime, but only like potholes and stuff. I'm like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
You know, like, you got to read the fucking news. And then I think another thing is...
You said earlier, not too low a credit score.
Not too low, no. And I had one person that I was like dating that said, I don't want to pay my student loans because it'll go away in 7 years. I said, who told you that?
Who told you that?
So whoever told you that isn't paying their student loans. Like, it's like, I sent my mom an article once saying cigarettes may not be bad for you. And my mom was like, whoever wrote that smokes cigarettes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who's ever telling you not to pay your credit or not to pay off your credit cards or not to pay your student loans isn't paying their credit or student loans.
And they're screwing themselves in the process.
1,000%. 1,000.
Yeah.
And then I think also somebody who, I know this is so like niche, but I have my bank text me my balance every day.
Every day?
Every day. It's a daily text. Because when you are broke and you are so avoidant of going and checking your balance, and then you go into this horrible cycle of going over, what's it called? Like overdraft. Like, that is, like, financial stress is a stress I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It is a noose, truly.
Yeah.
Like, going to bed knowing you have bills coming and you don't know how to pay them.
Yeah.
It is the worst feeling in the world. And one way that I headed that on is I have my bank. You can sign up for text notifications. I want someone to know what's in their bank.
Yeah.
And you have to have a savings account too, I think.
Yeah.
You have to be a fucking grown up. If you want to date me, you have to grow up. And if you and it's not about having money. I don't care if you are a cashier. Actually, I fucking prefer it if you don't want to be online. That would be amazing. You know?
90 followers on Instagram is perfect.
Shut up. And it's all like your boat or something. Like, I don't even care. Like, it's like your dog. Boner.
Perfect.
You know, somebody that has no want, or like somebody who owns like a restaurant, or like somebody who like has a donut shop, a producer of some sort, whatever. But I don't care if you are a telemarketer or like Bill Gates. You have to know what's going on in your life and how you take care of yourself in case of an emergency, your daily life. And like, if you want to be with me, how are you going to help me? Are you going to be a drain or a fountain in my life? And a lot of that has to do, there are two kinds of people, fountains and drains.
Yeah.
And if you are going to be a fountain, you have to take care of yourself too. I can't be the one, I don't want to be your guarantor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I can't co-sign this for you.
I refuse. Unless there's like this huge emergency or like whatever, of course. But if we're going to start getting to know each other, I want to make sure I'm with somebody who's like on stable foundation or at least wanting to, you know?
And for kind of like one of my last questions, you are one of the most successful, largest, beloved Latina creators. You're always talking about your identity. Like, what do you really hope to use your platform to build for the Latino community? And was there like a specific moment where you realized you were making this big impact?
I think for me, in the Latino community, I want to make sure that people feel proud of where they come from, that they don't have to hide their Latindad because of the way that they look or a lack of Spanish. Like what you cannot change blood, and there's a lot to be proud
Yeah.
of, you know? And there's also a lot of difficult conversations in the Latin community that I have no shame talking about, whether it be mental health,
Yeah.
whether it be finances, growing up with not a lot, but maybe just enough. Like, whether it be an identity of like, am I American? Am I Latin?
Yeah.
You know, like, am I the Olsen twin today, or am I Sofia Vergara? Like that is a hard thing to walk the line of. Also, there's a lot of talk, a lot of shame and divorce, domestic violence. There are so many things that are like taboo that I think we should talk about that more. So if anything, I hope to leave a mark of like, you can talk about things and still and not have to sacrifice any pride. You know what I mean? I respect vulnerability a lot. I also see a lot of things that have happened in my life and my friend's life and my parents' life as just part of their stories, not their identities. Like whatever happened to them is not who they are to me today. It's part of their stories. So I want to let go of like a little shame in my culture too. And I think the sickest thing that's ever happened is this girl DM'd me once and she was like, I left my man today. Like he was super abusive to me. And the whole ride to the shelter that she went to, I was listening to your TikToks. And that's all I think we want to do for each other.
Did you cry? I would cry.
Sobbed hysterically because, and I said, thank you for like bringing me with you, you know? Like, and I think that's the most impactful thing you can do is be there for people. Like, even if it's one thing that you've said, like how many people have DM'd you been like, I finally did it. I
opened the savings account.
Period.
I made the budget. I invested. I have
my first $100,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like that stuff. My first $1,000. Like, I got my first apartment. I finally saved up or whatever.
I had someone tell me they left their partner and because they finally could financially. And I was like,
so real. So real. That
me
is
making videos in my sweatpants at home, like help this woman out of a bad marriage or bad relationship. I'm like,
me here with my double chin saying,
yeah,
like truly, that is what it's all about. Social media is about community and people. And it's not just Latin people. I represent eldest daughters, you know, Miami girls, American girls, you know, like so much wine drinkers. Or like
Bushwick girls,
tattoo girls. Like there's a bunch of stuff that sisters with gay family members, whatever, like all this shit. And dreamers, you know? So I think that's the most impactful thing, that you make sure that like you remain part of the people. Yeah. You know?
And to close us out.
Did I answer any question?
Yes, you answered all of my questions very well. And now I flip it back on you. Knowing that I talk about money, we talk about finance, is there something that I can help you with today? A question you might have for me. Ooh, I stumped her.
I don't know. I think, you know what? I'll text you if I do.
Yeah,
I don't think I have one right now, only because, you know what? Maybe, no, I don't. Just a lot of love for you. But I think honestly your videos do help me. Like every time you talk about like trends or like buzzwords in the finance community, like you really do. Like, is your LinkedIn like poppin'?
My LinkedIn's pretty poppin'.
Yeah. I can see like people must be like, you know, if I had you when I was like 23, I think I would be way ahead of my game. I'm very jealous of people that get to meet you in their early 20s. Very jealous.
I'm jealous of people who get to meet me in their early 20s because I didn't do any of this stuff in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I was at Fiddlesticks overdrafting on my account because...
Jamba Juice.
Yeah, literally. Like, I think we make so many mistakes, but you can always be smarter tomorrow than you are today.
You can be. And you know what? As my last statement, it could be worse. You could have worked at Lehman Brothers. That was my mom's first job in finance. She worked at Lehman Brothers. So it could be worse. Yeah. Every time something fucked up happens to me, I'm like, it could be
your
fucking
whole
worse.
career could crash around you in a crisis.
I still have a Lehman Brothers cap Isn't that fucking?
That's vintage. I would sell that. That'd be like worth money. I'd buy that.
They'd probably buy it off me. They need it.
Yeah, literally.
No, but you're amazing. I adore you. You're an honorary Miami girl.
I love that so much. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
In your dreams. I say that every podcast. You can find me at Hello Tefi on Instagram and TikTok, but not Twitter.
Not Twitter. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Networth and Chill, part of the Vox Media Podcast Network. If you liked the episode, make sure to leave a rating and review and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Got a burning financial question that you want covered in a future episode? Write to us via podcast@yourrichbff.com. Follow Networth and Chill Pod on Instagram to stay up to date on all podcast-related news. And you can follow me at yourrichbff for even more financial know-how. See you next week. Bye!